Hey there folks, thanks for joining me on my board game night. Today we're having a look at Puzzle Dungeon. This is independently designed and created through Kickstarter by Brian Garber. And I'm going to show you today what it's like to play. I'm going to do it on my own as this is a solo only game. Alright, so I'm going to go over the setup quickly and then we'll get to the gameplay and the rules and etc. And I will play through a game so you can see what it's like. What we're trying to do here is basically, we're an adventurer, so today I'm going to be playing the warrior, and we have to hunt certain enemies or monsters to add to our trophy cabinet. So for example, as it shows over here, I need 4 humanoids, 2 terrors, and 2 undeads. I have some abilities down here, which I'll get to in a bit, and there's some trophy monster abilities as well. On the flip side is a more advanced level, so this with the skull symbol over here means this is a higher difficulty level. So if I wanted to, I could play this level, but I'm just going to go with the basic warrior level. I'm putting it up here so that it's in shot. We also, as set up, you shuffle up the 20 monster cards and then lay them out in 4 columns of 5 cards each. So they come out randomly each time. The monsters themselves are like this. So up at the top here it tells you the name, the type of monster they are, so this is a construct, the weapon they use, or which you'll get to use once they're defeated. In this case it's a wand, a nice picture of the skeleton, and then over here you need what you need to defeat it. So this is 2 wands, a glove, and a helmet. And down at the bottom here, this little green and pink symbol here represents loot. That's what you get when you defeat them. We have a deck of cards over here. This is the arsenal. You lay out 7 cards from the top of the deck into the arsenal, and then you also draw 7 cards into your hand. I haven't looked at my hand yet because I want to, as I start playing, show you my decisions as I go through. I just wanted to talk about quickly before we get started. There is a ton of other heroes that you could use. So you've got like the mage, the basher, the fool, paladin, elfie, the rogue, pirate, etc. So there's over like 30 different characters you can use, all most of them double-sided, so they have different difficulties. The creatures themselves, the monsters, are also double-sided, so this side is the normal side, this side is the boss side, or the king side, represented by this crown symbol over here. And you can see they're slightly different, they have slightly different abilities, and so on. We'll get to that as we get through the gameplay, so I don't want to overwhelm you too much with information as we get started. Okay, so what we're going to try and do is we're basically going to use cards from the arsenal and cards from my hand to try and defeat these monsters as we're hunting for those particular ones from our suits. So as I need 4 humanoids, 2 terrors, and 2 undead. If I look around, there's 4 of each suit, so I can see this row over here is pretty decent because it's got a terror, a humanoid, and an undead. So I could potentially, that row there could be what I'm targeting. But then I can see over here as well, there's a humanoid, the minotaur over there, and an undead over here. I'm not interested in the constructs. And I've also got on the side over here, you got the dragon and the goblin. Those are both humanoid and terror as well. And then the reaper and blue devil on this column is some of the undead. So that means I need to work my way through around there, using the abilities of what you get from their loot plus their weapons to basically maximize my chances of defeating the 8 creatures that I need. Because I lose when I run out of cards in my deck. Well, technically, when I run out of cards in my deck in my hand, and I can't defeat any more monsters. Basically, as soon as you got to the point where you have no more cards and you can't defeat any monsters, you've lost. So let's have a look at what I've got in my hand. Alright. So I've got 3 helmets here. The 7s are really useful. The 7s and 8s are really useful for me. And I'll tell you that why in a second. So I'm just going to set it like that for a second. So these are the cards. Obviously, at the moment, the numbers aren't really that relevant. It's the suits that I'm looking at. But certain abilities will trigger off numbers. Like, for example, the warrior's ability. That said, cards with 7+ in the arsenal can be... Oh, yeah, it's in the arsenal. So that's not actually relevant in my hand. Cards with 7+ in the arsenal can be used to attack monsters as if they had any suit. So there's no cards with 7+ in there. But there is ways to manipulate that. So let's have a quick look. What does the mutant The mutant requires a sword, 2 gloves, and a helmet. So, for example, there's a helmet already there, and I've got 2 gloves in my hand and a sword. So those 4 cards there are enough to defeat the mutant. But then it says shuffle any 4 cards in the arsenal into the deck. So that's a way of recycling cards from the arsenal back into the deck. That's useful, especially as at any time during my turn I can draw cards from the top of my deck, adding it to the arsenal. And obviously any of these 7s and 8s that I can get in there are really versatile. What's the vampire got? Draw any 2 cards draw any 2 cards in the discard pile. Well, there's none in the discard pile, so that's not really useful. The skeleton is shuffle the bottom 5 cards of the discard pile into the deck. Again, not useful at this point. And the dragon, discard your hand, then draw that number of cards from anywhere in the discard pile. That's only really useful when you want to change some of the suits that you have in your hand. So the mutant is basically where I'm looking at the moment. I could draw more cards from my deck to the arsenal instead of using cards from my hand, but based on the fact that all the others have things that trigger off the discard pile, I feel like I should use some of these cards. So, just talking to them again, I could use that helmet there, but I have helmets here in my hand as well. But I feel like I'm going to use the helmet from here. So that's 1. And I can do this in any order as well. I've got 2 gloves, and there's no other gloves here. So there, and I can't use the sword because you can only use the cards on the far right of the arsenal. So I can't slot this out here, so I'm going to use the sword. Also, the sword is an 8, which is what I want to get into the discard pile. So that's left me with 4 cards in my hand like that. And the mutant is defeated. So, as you can see, there's the sword, 2 gloves, helmet. Sword, 2 gloves, helmet. Done. This is one of the monsters I'm chasing after, which is a terror, so that's good. I now have a helmet, which, where can I put this that you guys can see it? I'll put that there for now. So at any time I can tap this to use the helmet. It won't untap again until I have an ability or a monster that untaps. So I think, if I remember correctly, I think the Blue Devil does that. Okay, so now we've uncovered the Rat Man. So he's a humanoid, which is something I'm chasing after. It requires 2 helmets, a wand, and a sword. And I can move any 2 cards used to defeat this monster to the front of the arsenal. Oh, that is even sweeter. So I definitely want to use those 2, the 2 7s. Okay, but that means I've got a wand and a helmet, but I need another sword and a helmet. Well, I do have another helmet in my hand, so that's cool. But that means I need a sword. So he's got a helmet, which is no use. So I'm just going to move him up. I've got no swords in my hand. There's no swords at the end of the arsenal, so I'm going to draw. Ah, beautiful. What a lucky draw. So the first card I used is the 0 sword. Alright, Ratman, you're going to get the good news. So, I'm going to use the sword from the arsenal. I'm going to use the wand from my hand. I could use the wand from there, but I want to use it from here. And I'm going to use this helmet with the 7 as well. Because when I kill it, it says move any 2 cards used to defeat this monster to the front of the arsenal, which are going to be those 2. Just put that aside for a second. But I'm still missing a helmet. So I could use my mutant, I could tap that, or I could use these 2 from my hand. I'm going to use the mutant. So I'm going to tap that. So it's got 2 helmets, sword and wand. Ratman is defeated. He goes there. He's a humanoid, which is one of the monsters I'm chasing after. I trigger his loot ability, which is put 2 of these at the front of the arsenal. Like that. Beautiful. Right, because why that's good is to remember the warrior, cards with value 7+ in the arsenal can be used to attack monsters as if they had any suit. That is really useful. Alright, so what are we after now? So I've got 1 terror and 1 humanoid. I need 1 more terror, and I need 2 more undead and 3 more humanoids. They're all in this row, so that's still useful, but that still means I need to trigger some of the others as well. But now we've just uncovered the werewolf. So he needs a sword, 2 wands, and a glove. And it says you may move any monster to the front of a column, at the front of a column to the back of a column. Oh, that's interesting. Because that could, for example, over here, I could move the skeleton to the back, triggering the ghost at the front. Which means, considering I still have to kill the Minotaur as well, it means I don't have to fight the Leech. So once I kill the Werewolf and the Cyclops, I can then move on to the Ghost and the Minotaur. And then don't worry about that column, don't have to worry about that column. I don't have to worry about this column, just that column over there, because I still need to get to that Goblin. And the skeleton, his ability was shuffle the bottom 5 cards of the discard pile into the deck. So that's actually pretty good. It means it prolongs. Oh, interesting. A vampire, draw any 2 cards in the discard pile. That's okay. Alright, well, first of all, let's see what I need. Because I've obviously got 2 wild cards there, which I don't want to use straight away. I've got a helmet over there, and I've got 2 helmets in my hand. So, as it stands, I don't actually have enough to defeat that. But, like for example, the skeleton requires 2 wands, a glove, and a helmet. I could, for example, use this as the glove, this is the helmet, and these 2 as wands, which would be enough to kill the skeleton, and then replacing all these into my deck. That's not bad. And of course, because the skeleton is a construct, if I defeat it, I trigger the trophy part of my ability, which is move any card in the discard pile to the front of the arsenal. Yes, I think I'm going to do that. Because obviously these 2, I could use these 2 as well. No, okay. So, I'm going to use this as a glove. And this as a helmet. These 2 as wands. Which is enough to defeat the skeleton. He will come down into here. I trigger his loot ability, which is shuffle the bottom 5 cards of the discard pile into the deck. Now I could do that and my trophy ability in any order, but as the bottom 5 cards are those, it's not going to bother with these. So those go back into here. Just going to give that a quick shuffle. That's the skeleton's loot ability. And then I can trigger my trophy ability, which is move any card in the discard pile to the front of the arsenal, which will be this 7, because naturally 7 pluses are really good for me. And I now have a wand available to use as well from there. And don't forget, I've still got the 2 helmets in my hand. We've now uncovered the ghost. You may shuffle and deal any column. You may shuffle and deal any column. Oh, that could be useful. So, that's what I'm thinking over there. The goblin is very high up, and it would mean I'd have to defeat the haunted armor, the animated weapons, and the dragon before I can get to him. With a bit of luck, I could actually shuffle him to the front or closer to the front. And this bad boy needs 2 swords, 2 helmets. I've got plenty of helmets. I've got a wild over there, but no swords. That's a bit of a bummer. Because if I deal to the front of the... that'll negate this wild ability right here. Let's see. Werewolf, I can still do him. I could use that as a sword. I've got a wand over there, but no other wands. Alright. The vampire... a vampire I could do. Draw any 2 cards in the discard pile. That's interesting. There's no swords in there, which is what I would be looking for. I'm not going to be ditching any swords like that. So do I deal more cards from into the armory, blocking up my 7? Or do I try and go for something else? Because swords is what I'm short of at the moment. I've got 3 shields, a star, wand rather, and anything. So shields, I mean both of these need shields, but this one needs 2 swords. Technically I can do 1. This one needs 2 wands. I can do those 2 wands and the 2 shields, so I can do that. And that would be my second terror, which is obviously beneficial, and I can draw any 2 cards in the discard pile, which is 2 wands or a helmet again, which is not great. I'm not super psyched by that. I feel like my only option here is to draw and hope for a sword. If this top card is a sword, that'd be ace, because then I could use the sword, the wand, and the 2 helmets and take out that ghost, which would give me another helmet. So the dragon has a sword ability, so I could use that. Plenty of options, isn't there? All right, let's stop hesitating. It is a sword. Wow, look at that. All right, should I go with the ghost? Yeah, I'm gonna go with the ghost. Right, so sword, because it's a 7+, it counts as any suit. 2 helmets. I'm going to use this Ratman as 1 helmet, and I'm going to use this 3 for no reason really, then that one, and I defeat the ghost. So the ghost comes down here, because now I have another helmet to use over there. Don't know if you can see that. Yep. Its loot abilities, you may shuffle and deal any column. So I'm going to take this column up here, give it a bit of a shuffle. When you shuffle the monster columns, I suggest not looking at them while you're shuffling, because they are double-sided, so you can still see what they are. So I'm looking at the camera so I can see what you guys are looking at while I shuffle, and then redeal. Dragon's now at the top, Goblin's still second. God damn, that did not work. Okay, now that did not work at all, but I do have 2 helmets, a wand, and a glove. And the animated weapons are now at the top, and I've also got the Minotaur. Yay for Minotaurs! Minotaur, you may shuffle and deal the monsters into 4 columns. That's interesting. So you basically reshuffle everything and redeal it again. I'm not keen on doing that quite yet, because I quite like, other than where the goblin is, I quite like everything where it is. Shuffle up to 4 cards in the arsenal and discard pile with the same suit into the deck. So what that means is, for example, I could take, say, the wand there and the 3 wands in here, and then shuffle them all back into the deck, which is cool. I do have 2 gloves here and 2 helmets, so I could defeat the animated weapon. What would that do for me? Not a lot, really. So at the moment I've got 1 of each of my things I'm chasing after and a random construct. I still need to get this werewolf, which is you may move any monster at the front of a column to the back of a column. That could be the animated weapon going to the back, I figure, and then I'll have the haunted armor available. So what do I need for that? A glove, a wand, a bloody sword again. I'm struggling with swords at the moment. There's a sword there. 2 gloves, 2 helmets. Oh no, 2 gloves. I don't want to deal with the freaking things around again. So the Minotaur's got to wait. By the way, there's obviously, as I said earlier, there was 4 of each suit. So for example, there's 4 humanoids, 4 undead, 4 terrors, etc. When there's only 1 remaining, so for example, if I kill this vampire and werewolf, only the dragon is remaining, it will automatically flip to the king's side, and it will trigger its ability immediately, even though it's at the back of the column. Alright, what do I want to do? I think I want to take out this werewolf. So let's see what I need for that. I got a glove, but it's not, obviously I'm going to have to use my armory like that. So what have I got other than that? I've got the wand over there. I've got 2 helmets, which is not necessary. So let's flip over and see what I get. Another helmet. No. Another helmet. No. Glove. Okay, so I've got a glove and a wand. I need another wand and a sword. That seems unlikely to come out like that. Maybe I should go for the vampire, because then I could get the ones I need from the discard pile. And I got the 2 helmets. And I need another wand. Alright, let's flip that over. See, there's the wand. Okay, so I'm going to use the skeleton as the wand. I'm going to use this wand. I'm going to use my ghost for the helmet. And this helmet, which means I'm now out of cards in my hand and I'm out of weapons, but I have just beaten the vampire. It is one of the monsters I'm looking for, so it means I've got all the terrors I need now. And it says draw any 2 cards in the discard pile. So what I'm thinking of, because it's a wand and there's a glove, wand and a glove, I need a wand and a sword. So there's the sword and there's the wand. So that is pretty nifty. And because it's one of the things I'm looking for, I don't get to use the trophy ability, but now I'm immediately going to attack the werewolf, needing a wand, a sword, another wand, and a glove. Boom. Werewolf is taken out. Now, even though I have 2 terrors already, and I'm only needing 2 terrors, this still counts as part of the terror. So, for example, it doesn't trigger my trophy ability because it's not a trophy monster. It's still a hunted monster. So it says you may move any monster at the front of a column to the back of a column. I feel I've got to move the animated weapons to the back, leaving the haunted armor in front now. So it brings the goblin a little closer downwards, and I now have a glove available. Got 2 helmets over here. I need another sword again, and I can take out the haunted armor. Shuffle your hand into the deck, then draw that many cards plus 2. Well, I've got no cards in hand, which could be an issue. Cyclops. Shuffle the arsenal, then draw any 2 cards in the arsenal. That's interesting. I need 2 gloves for that and 2 swords. Swords being a good problem for me again. I mean, I got the glove and 2 helmets for the haunted armor, but I don't need a sword. So can I top deck a sword again? Well, I've got to try. I've got a wand. So stone golem I'm not even looking at because it needs 2 swords. I just don't have swords. And same with the Cyclops, so I need to go for this again. 2 wands again. So technically I got 2 wands, a glove, and a helmet. 2 wands are not useful to me. Oh, this is a problem. There's a glove, so I've got a double glove, double wand. Double glove, double wand, nope. So I'm just going to move these as I feel like my arsenal is going to grow now. As I'm in trouble. The warrior is floundering. Another glove. That's a wild, in fact. Ooh. So a wand, a glove, a wild, and another glove. So a double glove. I could do the Minotaur. Because I've got a double glove, I could use the 8 as a helmet, and that is the wand that I need, which means I can take out the Minotaur. It's one of the things I'm chasing after, and I may shuffle and deal the monsters into 4 columns. I feel like I have to do that, otherwise I'm going to struggle. Okay, so I'm going to use the glove. This is the helmet, another glove, and a wand. Defeating the Minotaur. Isn't he cool? Ha! Right. Oh, that brings another wild to the front. I forgot about that. Okay, so the Minotaur triggers. You may shuffle and deal the monsters into 4 columns. I may. I don't have to. Do I want to? What am I chasing after? I still need 1 more undead. Which is there, or there. I still need a humanoid, so I still need to kill that, which will show me that, so it's fine. And then the only other thing I need is the goblin. Ooh, I don't think I'm going to shuffle it. But if I don't, that leaves me with a glove, a wild, and 2 helmets. Oh, that actually works. No, I'm not going to shuffle. Okay, so I'm just going to ignore his ability because it's a May ability. But what it does do is, what I just noticed is I've got a glove, a wild, which could be the sword, and 2 helmets, which could take out that. Then shuffle your hand into the deck, then draw that many cards plus 2. So I've got no cards in hand, but that means I can draw 2 cards from the top of the deck. If I defeat the armor, of course it's getting me closer to the goblin as well. What other options do I have? I mean, that's the only one with a double helmet. Yeah, I feel like I have to do that. So, glove, sword, helmet, helmet. Taking out the haunted armor. So then shuffle your hand. I don't have any. Then draw 2 cards from the top of the deck. Ah, that could have been a wild if it was at the front of the arsenal. But it is a sword, which is useful. So I've got a helmet, sword, and a wand. And we've revealed the Banshee. So a Banshee is a trophy monster because it's, what's the little splat again? Magical. And its ability is draw each 2, 3, or 4 in the arsenal. So what that means is, for example, there's 2 3s. I could take both of those 3s from there, which is pretty good, actually. And what do I need? I've got the glove, sword, wand, helmet. Perfect. Which would then get me those 2 back. Oh, I feel like I have to do that. So what other options are? I'm not interested in this side or this side at the moment. But, obviously, move any monster to the front or back of any column is quite useful. Shuffle the top 3 cards of the discard pile into the deck, then draw a card. It's also useful. So even though I'm not chasing after those, and of course I can trigger my trophy abilities, which is move any card in the discard pile to the front of the arsenal, which is those wilds I've been using. So I can't discount those. But I think I'm gonna go for the Banshee. So again, helmet, wand, glove, sword, Banshee. Draw each 2, 3, or 4 in the arsenal. I'm going to draw the 2 3s. So now I'm back up to 2 wands and a sword, which I didn't know beforehand because I didn't try not to remember these things. But I just noticed the goblin requires a sword, 2 wands, and a helmet. So if I can get a helmet from somewhere. Also, this is a trophy monster, which means I can put any card in the discard pile to the front of the arsenal. And why I've chosen that is because I've been short of swords, but also it's a 7+, so it's a wild for me anyway. So that means the goblin is on his way out. But do I have any other options? Let's have a quick look around. I've got 2 swords and a glove, but I don't have another glove. I was thinking of the Cyclops there. What's the goblins again? Discard up to 3 cards from the arsenal. For each card you discarded, draw a card. Ah, that's quite annoying. There's not enough cards in the arsenal. Although I could... Oh, but then I'd be covering up the wild. Oh, okay. What else? What other options we got? 2 wands. Nothing that requires 2 wands except the goblin. Both the stone golem and the automaton only need 1. This could obviously be anything else I need. So I could do 2 swords or 1, but then I'm short of a helmet. And he will give me another wand, which is quite annoying. I don't need another wand. And if I use this, I'll only be discarding 1 card to draw 1 card. So I'd have a wand and 1 other card. But it is a humanoid. What's the chances I can get... I'll be discarding the glove, which is what I need. Oh man. That's 2 gloves. So that's 2 gloves. Sword and a wand. Could do the automaton. Automation. Or automaton. You know what I mean. Automaton. Right, because what I'm thinking there, I've got a glove there. I could have this as the other glove. There's a wand. And there's a sword. Then I can shuffle the top 3 cards of the discard pile, which would include this 8 and this 0, into the deck, and then I get to draw a card, and that's also a sword. And I'll get to put one of the wilds to the front. Oh, that's a risk. Because I don't need that. I need the goblin, the cyclops, and the lich. Those are the 3 I need still. But the automaton could help with what I'm trying to do. Or I could just go for the goblin, take him out, and hope for the best, you know, with my arsenal draws. Because then I would need to get the Cyclops and the Lich. I'm going to go with my second idea. Okay, so I need sword, wand. I'm going to tap him for the wand. And then 2 gloves. Boom. To take out the automaton. So he's a trophy monster because he's a construct. I don't need constructs. So he has shuffled the top 3 cards of the discard pile into the deck. Then draw a card. So those 3 get shuffled into there. And then I get to draw a card, which is a sword. Handy. And then, because that was a trophy monster, move any card in the discard pile to the front of the arsenal. And I will move that there, because that is a wild. So technically I've got a wild, 2 swords, and a wand. Okay. It's also revealed the cultist. Discard up to 2 cards from your hand, draw 2 cards for each card you discarded. Oh, that's good. But the Cyclops, let's see, can I take out the Cyclops? I've got 2 swords, I've got a glove, but I need another glove. Damn. I could do that, I think. I've got a sword, a wand. No, I need a helmet. Cyclops is the one I really want. If this can be a glove, that would be ace. Or a wild, that would be good as well. Because then I'd have 2 gloves, 2 swords. But then if I shuffle the arsenal and draw any 2 cards in the arsenal, there's nothing that's going to be in there. So let's add some cards to the arsenal then. So I've got a sword. There's a glove. Right, what am I looking at? I've got no helmets. So the cultist is out. I've got 2 swords, a glove. So I need another glove. 2 swords, no helmets. No helmets. I've got no helmets. And I've got no... Oh, this is a wild as well. But still no gloves. Ah. Another sword. A sword. That's a lot of swords. Now all of a sudden I've got loads of swords. There's a helmet. Right. Let's pause for a second. I've got a helmet, a wand, and 2 swords. Could take out the stone golem. Move any monster to the front or back of any column. What I'm thinking about there is moving the Cyclops. Oh, actually, is there any that I just remembered? Ah, I made an error, as I've taken 3 terrors. So technically the dragon should have been a king. And it reveals immediately, when you would deal a card to the arsenal, deal 2 instead. Ugh. Okay. So, technically, I had 1 there, I deal 2, so I have to do another one over there. Well, that's a pain. Okay, so I'll bring him down so I don't forget. The dragon is now the king. As you notice, it's got 2 swords or not. If I defeat it, I get to keep those 2 swords as a weapon like I do with normal. Alright, what was I thinking about? Stone golem. 2 swords. Helmet. Wand. If I do that, I can move any monster to the front or back of any column. So I'm thinking of moving the Cyclops behind the Lich. Maybe the Lich will be easier to defeat and have a better ability. Because they're the only ones I need. So, and of course, I'll get to bring a wild out as well. So let's go with that. So sword, helmet, wand. I've got a lot of swords now, which will defeat the stone golem. Put him over there. Move any monster to the front or back of any column. I'm going to move the Cyclops in behind the Leech. Alright, so I've moved the Cyclops behind. The Lich is now visible. It needs 2 wands, 2 gloves. Oh goodness, maybe I should have done that. Let's put any 2 cards used to defeat this monster on the bottom of the deck in any order. Okay. And I believe there's still... Oh, I made it. I forgot about the king thing again. Technically, this stone golem should have been a king. It still requires the same. When a wand is dealt to the arsenal, discard a card from your hand. Okay. Sometimes it's easy to forget when you're thinking about so many things that the last remaining type of a monster turns to a king immediately. Let me just double check. There's 3 magical left. There's 2 humanoids left and 3 undead left. So that's still all good. Okay, but I do have double glove now, which is really handy for the lich. And I have a load of swords. But the thing is, that wouldn't have triggered then. So, unfortunately, that plan I just did, I'm just going to undo that quickly because that was a mistake. When I defeated this stone golem, which I'm not going to take back now, he didn't actually have the loot ability, but he does have still the 2 gloves. And I still get to trigger my trophy ability, which, actually, that works out better for me. Isn't that ironic that a mistake I just made actually works out to my benefit? I'll put that there. Okay. Because the Cyclops needs 2 gloves, 2 swords. Which, as it turns out, the stone golem has 2 gloves on it. So I'm going to tap that for the 2 gloves. And then I'll use these 2 as the swords. Defeating the Cyclops. And that will make the goblin a king. We'll get back to that in a minute. But first we've got to trigger this. So shuffle the arsenal, then draw any 2 cards in the arsenal. So give that a shuffle. And draw 2. So I knew I was going to draw that. And then these 2 go back. Ooh, but the 7 is still at the top, so that's a wild. I've got a sword over there as well. The goblin now becomes the Goblin King. And he has discard a card from your hand and arsenal for each king in play. So the dragon's obviously a king, so there's 2 kings in play. So discard a card from your hand and arsenal for each king in play. So both of those go. That was not funny. I've got a sword there. I need wands, gloves. So unfortunately these 2 swords have got to go. Okay, that leaves me with a sword and a wand. A sword and a wand is good there. If I can get a wand and a helmet, that'll take him out. Give me the 2 wands I need for that. And then I just have to hope I get some gloves. So, is this going to be a wand or a helmet? It's a glove. It's a wild. Come on. Helmet or a wand? Helmet or a wand? Helmet it is. Oh, it's a wild as well. So, that's not a big deal. But that means the goblin is done for. So, sword. Wand. Helmet. Wand. Goblins are toast. Alright, so it doesn't have a loot ability anymore because it's a king. But it does give me 2 wands and a glove. I need 1 more glove. Come on. Lucky charm. One of these, actually, it has to be a glove on the top or 2 gloves following each other. That's all I got, basically. I need that and that to take out that last lich. Then I have... In fact, hold on a second. That's not what I... Where's the... Have I got all the humanoids? Oh, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4 humanoids. 2 terrors. 1 undead. I need 1 undead, so it could be either of these. Don't know why I was so obsessed with the leech. I could do either the blue devil, which is even... Well, it would have been even better, because I could ready up to 4 of my exhausted weapons. But... I need... Well, let's see what I get. Oh, beauty! Top decking goodness. 2 gloves, 2 wands. That's all I need. Boom. Boom. Lich comes down here. And put any 2 cards used to defeat this monster at the bottom of the deck in any order. There you go. And then let's just quickly make sure. We've got 2. That's a trophy, 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 trophy. 3. Terrors 1. Another trophy. 2. 2. 4. That's not necessary. The warrior is successful. Ha! And there you go. That is a full play of Puzzle Dungeon. A successful play, I would have to imagine. All right, yeah, I did make a couple of mistakes. I will admit that. And obviously I was playing on the basic level, but it came down to the wire pretty close. The decisions you make is really interesting, because obviously it's like this game reminds me a lot of the old games you used to play on the old PCs, you know, with the solitaire. In fact, you could play with a deck of cards, obviously, as well. But when I was a kid, I used to play solitaire. This is more my kind of solitaire, because it's a more interesting theme, if you like, rather than just a deck of normal playing poker cards. It has interesting creatures, and most importantly, it has a Minotaur in as well. I really like it. I think it's a fun game. It's actually really thinky. I think I would have liked if there's only 20 monsters in the game, and you use those same 20 monsters every time, even though you have a massive amount of heroes, which each have different, slightly different abilities, like, and they also need different things to chase after, and there's a lot as well. I mean, so there's a lot of subtle differences that you can make to change the game up. And then of course you have the difficulty side setting as well. You've got obviously the difficulty in that you can play with the king side up, and the way the armory comes out from your cards. Some of them interact more with the numbers, some of them interact more with the suits. So there's a lot of variability and replayability in the game. I think ultimately I would prefer if there was just a few more monsters that you could swap out, so that you don't, like, if you play this game a lot, you get to know the abilities and when they trigger and how they trigger and how you can manipulate them. That's part of the skill and strategy of the game anyway. But it would be good to have a few, or maybe just another 5 or 6 monsters that you could just swap out, you know, randomly shuffle 20, so that you don't know exactly what's going to come out. But other than that, I think it's a really solid, fun, interesting solo play game. I've played it quite a few times now, and on the back of the rules, which is something that my console side of me likes, it has even a little achievement list that you can mark down with the ones you've won on, and some of the other options that you can do for achievements as well. That's pretty cool. Rules are pretty simple to understand. Brian's always on hand to answer any questions, and I think it's pretty decent. If you want to see a full 5-minute thoughts video on this, I'll put a link up here which will take you to the 5-minute thoughts of how I categorize this in depth. But thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing and liking and all the good stuff. See you guys later.